Welcome back. It is 9:29. Breaking this morning, as we've told you, the FDA has just granted full approval to Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine is now the first in the U.S. to win the designation, giving businesses, schools, and universities more confidence to adopt vaccine mandates. Joining me now to weigh in on this is Dr. Shikha Jain with the University of Illinois at Chicago. Dr. Jain, good morning. Not too much of a surprise. We heard it could be coming today, but let's just clarify, what exactly do you think this is going to mean for the push to get the country fully vaccinated?
I think it's going to mean a couple of things, Sylvia. I think the first thing, an important thing, there have still been people who are vaccine hesitant. And some people have been saying that they don't feel comfortable taking a vaccine that hadn't been approved by the FDA. So the hope is that those people who are still kind of on the fence are now going to say, okay, this has gone through all of the regulations, gone through all of the testing and all of the things that normally would go through. So we're going to go and get our shot. The second thing is I think it's going to allow businesses and companies and restaurants and other places to feel a little bit more comfortable to require vaccination status for their employees or for people who are coming into their businesses, because now that it's FDA approved, I think people feel a little bit more comfortable putting out those mandates and putting out those rules.
That is going to be the next step, I think. Do you think we're going to see an influx of mandates as a result?
I think we probably will. And to be honest, the people I've been talking to who haven't gotten the vaccine yet, some of them have felt COVID hasn't impacted them. But they did say, if my employer tells me I need to get it, or if I'm told that I can't fly without a COVID vaccine, then I likely will get it. So I think we're going to see a lot more of these mandates coming down the pipeline. And I think it's going to hopefully encourage a lot more people to get their vaccine.
Okay, what about the other vaccines? Let's start with Pfizer. How long before that is approved, as people who have gotten that are waiting to see when it comes to boosters and that kind of thing?
Well, when it comes to boosters, that's the next step, right? So we know right now that that it's been recommended that people who are immunocompromised get that booster, and that people who are more than 8 months out from the Pfizer vaccine get a booster as well. So that'll start around September. So I think there's going to be a little bit of time and a little bit of a lag before we start seeing that approved by the FDA fully. But I do think that for now, boosters for the immunocompromised is a smart thing to do. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be talking about in September getting the people boosters who got vaccinated 8 months ago. Although I think it's going to be a little bit of time before we see that go through the FDA and get a full approval through the FDA.
Okay, what about full approval for the Pfizer vaccine in general? Because that's the next one everybody seems to be waiting for.
So the Moderna vaccine is the one that is going to be coming up next.
Moderna, yes.
So the Moderna vaccine is the one that's going to be coming up next. And I know that that's also in the works. So I anticipate now that Pfizer has gone through, Moderna will likely go through relatively soon, because they do have similar technologies. So we'll have to wait and see how quickly it goes through. But I can imagine now that the Pfizer vaccine has gone through, Moderna will likely be next.
Okay, what about Johnson & Johnson? Still a lot of questions. That was a single dose vaccine. A lot of people are wondering, is it the right vaccine, especially with the Delta variant? How long before we get clarification on approval for Pfizer and the likelihood of boosters, with Johnson & Johnson, and the likelihood with boosters for Johnson & Johnson?
So Johnson & Johnson, there's still ongoing studies, and there's still a lot of questions as to whether the Johnson & Johnson is going to require a booster. I have a feeling it likely will, because we do know that the Johnson & Johnson overall efficacy is a little bit lower than the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. I also think that Johnson & Johnson is likely going to be later to get a full FDA approval, because that's still in the works. And I don't actually think Johnson & Johnson has even submitted for full FDA approval yet. So I think that's still in the process of going through, and the process of the FDA looking at it and all the studies that are coming out with Johnson & Johnson. If you remember, there was some questions about blood clots with Johnson & Johnson a couple of months ago as well. And then it was shown that Johnson & Johnson is indeed a safe vaccine. And it was the pause that was implemented was taken off, and people were able to get that again. I would still tell people to get whatever vaccine you can get easiest and as soon as possible. But I think we'll be waiting a little bit longer for the Johnson & Johnson full approval to go through.
So many people have said, you know, I'm not taking a vaccine that doesn't have FDA full approval, as you referenced. Some people have said, well, you know what, once they approve it, then I'll get the vaccine. But the reality is, what's the likelihood? Because you have to wonder, if a lot of people hadn't gotten the vaccine before this full approval was made available, are they really going to change their minds? Is this going to be the thing that's going to do it?
You know, that's a great question, Sylvia. And I've been asking myself and I've been asking people that across the country, really. We've been putting out surveys and asking people this exact question. And I think there is going to be a small subset of the population that was waiting for this full approval and that they are likely to get vaccinated now. But I don't think that's the majority. I think that the majority of people who aren't vaccinated yet have a variety of other reasons why they're concerned. Some of it is misinformation they've been reading, whether it's online or through talking to their friends. So I encourage those people to really go to reputable sources like the FDA, the CDC, our group Impact. There's a lot of different places to get reputable information that combats that misinformation. But I'm hopeful that once more businesses are requiring it, once travel starts to become difficult if you don't get vaccinated, once things just that, existing in society require you to get vaccinated, I think we're going to see a lot of people doing it. I've heard people say it's a personal choice and that's why they don't want to get vaccinated. I equate it to drunk driving. If you are somebody who wants to drink, that's totally fine, but it's not legal for you to get behind the wheel of a car when you've been drinking. Whether you end up injuring someone or not, drunk driving is not legal because you could impact somebody else's life. You can impact your community. In the same way, getting the vaccine is absolutely a personal choice, but when it comes down to it, you not getting the vaccine may be detrimental or dangerous for people in your community and other people. So I think people are going to start seeing that, hopefully, as we see mandates and things come down the pipeline.
And finally, I want to ask you, I know we're talking about the fact that it just got approved by the FDA, but we're hearing more and more about these breakthrough infections. Jesse Jackson and his wife, breakthrough infections. Some other celebrities have been saying they're having breakthrough infections. People are really concerned. They're walking around fully vaccinated, yet they keep hearing about breakthrough infections. Are those increasing, or is it just something we're reporting on? What can you tell us about breakthrough infections?
So we're definitely seeing breakthrough infections, and there could be a variety of reasons. We have a more contagious Delta variant, and we also have people who are now 7 to 8 months out from their initial vaccine course. So it is possible, as we've seen in studies, that there is a little bit of decreasing immunity. So that's why we're recommending, even if you're fully vaccinated, please wear your mask indoors because that gives that added level of protection. This is why boosters may be necessary. But until we get our numbers in the community under control, until we get the numbers lower, we really need everybody to wear a mask because if you're vaccinated, the chance of you getting very sick is unlikely. But the chance of you contracting COVID and passing it on to someone else is not zero. It is higher now than it was 6 months ago because we have a more contagious variant. So I do think that breakthrough infections are becoming more common than we were seeing several months ago. One, because we have a more contagious variant. Two, because we're seeing a lot more COVID in the community than we were seeing 6 months ago. And three, because we are now months after getting those vaccines and we're starting to see some waning immunity amongst the people who are fully vaccinated.
Dr. Shikha Jain with UIC, thanks for joining me this morning. We always appreciate your time. I know it was last minute, but breaking news this morning. So thanks for coming in and talking to us. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too, Sylvia.
We'll be right back.